right, so learning goal today, the student will understand how to apply geometry facts in multi-step problems to solve for an unknown angle. So that's just basically taking everything we've done, putting it together, and now being able to problem solve. Okay, so let's look at this first one. All right, and we are going to come up with true and false for each of these. And the first one says, if angle 4 is acute, then angle 1 is obtuse. Tell me if you think that's true or false and why. If angle 4 is acute, then angle 1 has to be obtuse. Perfect. False. And these are vertical. Vertical angles have to be the same. So there's no way. They would have to be the same measure. Okay? All right, what about C? If angle 2 is 90 degrees, so if I make angle 2 90 degrees, then measure of angle 3 and 4 would be the same. So this one and this one would be the same. What do you think about that one? What's going to be the measure of angle 3 if angle 2 is 90? It's going to be 90, right? So can you kind of visualize that that means the picture would then change to this? Because if this one's 90, then this one has to be 90. Does that make sense?
Which then means the other one on the side.
Yes, which means then, because this is a straight angle, this one would also have to be 90. And this one would also have to be 90. So would that be true? Would then angle 3 be equal to angle 4? Yes, that would be true. Does that not make sense? No. Okay, where did I lose you? Why wouldn't they be equal? Because you don't like this picture? Is that what it is? So, but you have to look at what they said. You can't. If it says, if the measure of angle 2 is 90, so now they're saying, this is 90. Doesn't matter what the picture looks like, it's 90. That's why I redrew it. So this is the 90. That means 3, because it's vertical, would also be 90. Which means, because this one is touching this one would also be 90. So now 3 and 4 would be the same. Alright, so let's look at the next one. The next one says, angle 1 plus angle 3 would equal angle 2 and 4. So if I take 1 and 3, so 1 plus 3, I'll do that, is that going to equal 2 plus 4? Yeah, what would angle 1 plus 3 equal? 180. And so what would 2 plus 4 equal? 180. So that is true. They would equal the same amount. All right, last one. Okay, now this one's going to be a little hard to think about. Measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2. So angle 1 plus angle 2. So add those two together. If I subtract angle 3 and 4, so here's subtract, that's going to equal 0. How come? Because what is 1 plus 2? 180. And what is 3? 3 plus 4? 180, and 180 minus 180 is 0, so that would be true. Do you guys see, and this is just my strategy, I have to write on it to see where it is. I can't just look at it and figure it out. So you got to come up with a system of writing. Yes? Never mind? You good? Okay. All right, let's look at the next one that's problem solving. All right. So it says, if measure of angle 2 is 90, which they already marked that for us right here, which of the following statements must always be true? Okay, so we know this is 90. What do we know about this? That it's 180. Good, so this is 180. This is 90. Okay, does this mean that angle 1 has to be equal to angle 3? Does it have to?
Oh, no.
Doesn't have to. Couldn't this, and this is where I wish I could move it to help you see it, but couldn't I draw another 90-degree angle kind of like that? Maybe 1 smaller and 3 bigger? Or couldn't I take it and like rotate, couldn't I take basically horizontally and rotate it like this any way I want. It could pivot right here on this. Does that make sense? And it would still be 90, but it could pivot back and forth. Okay. So that doesn't mean, that means this does not always have to be true. It just looks true in this picture. Okay? What about number 2? So angle 1 plus angle 3. Will that always equal this one? And tell me why or why not. How much did we say the straight line was? 180. How much does angle 2 equal? 90. What do you think? Kendall?
So if number 2, the angle is 90, you can subtract 90 from 80, you would get 180. You get 90, so that means that both angles would equal up to
So it would be.
I got lost.
45.
You're right. You're right. Okay, so what she's saying is, she says if you know this is 90, right? What has to be left? 90, right? Because 90 and 90 is 180, and that's a straight line. So that means whatever this is will have to add up to this. That those two together would have to be another 90 degrees. Does that make sense? So what it's saying is, will angle 1 and angle 3 always be the same measure as angle 2? Yes, in this picture it will. Because angle 1 or angle 2 is 90. No matter what these two are, they have to equal 90. Because 90 and 90 is a straight line. Kind of see it? Okay. All right, so this always has to be true. All right, let's check the last one. Okay, the last one. If angle 3 is acute, then angle 1 has to be obtuse. No. Because angle 1 and angle 3 together can only add up to how much? 90. And the definition of obtuse is what? Over 90. Yes, and less than 180. So there's no way that that can be true. You really have to think about these. All right, let's get back to one of those that looks kind of like, remember that spider web one that you loved so much? Yay! All right. In the diagram, it says angle 1 is the same as angle 2. Okay, so I would go ahead and mark that if I was doing this problem, because this is equivalent to that, or congruent. So I would mark it like that. Did you guys mark it? Nelson, Mario. Okay, what are the measures of angle 1 and 2 and 3? So we have a lot to figure out here. All right, let's start off with, okay, so to find 1 and 2, do you guys agree we need to know what this is? Now, are we sure it's 90? No. So we're going to have to figure out what x is, because do you see how x would be a vertical angle with this? So once I figure out what x is, how do I figure out 1 and 2? Divided by 2, because they're the same. Yeah, because it said these two are the same. Okay, so I need to figure out what x is. So let's start there. So let's look through my picture. Do we see any other x's? You see this one right here? Okay, and you see this. How can I figure out what x is? Sam? Equals 86, right? Because it's a vertical angle. So x minus 8 equals 86. Super easy equation to solve, right? I should see every single person writing, correct? Just making sure we understand how to take notes today. All right, so we just have to add 8 to both sides. So let's see, what would that be, 14, 94? Okay. So x is 94. So now can I figure out what 1 and 2 are? Yeah, because here's an x, right? We just said x is 94. So how do I figure out 1 and 2? 94 divided by 2. So what's 94 divided by 2? 4, 8, I'm getting 47. So x we said was 94. So the measure of angle 1 is 47. And the measure of angle 2 is 47. They're the same. All right, so now I got to figure out 3. So let's take a look at 3. Here's angle 3. Any ideas what we can do here? Probably what? Okay, how can we use the y? Okay, do you know what the equation would be? I have to use something I've learned this chapter, right? Okay, so what is something I've learned this chapter that can pull in that 3y plus 20? Isabel? See what she's saying? Is that a straight angle right there? Yeah, if you kind of turn your head sideways. Do you see this goes to this angle right here? So what do we know about this angle plus this angle? That they're supplementary. Ooh, I like that vocabulary. You want to do the equation? Okay, now 3y plus 20.
You have to do the.
Okay, so what do we still have to know before we can write that equation? What? We probably need to know what y equals, don't we? So do you see another place we can figure out what y equals? So this one? This is vertical with this. So what would be my equation for that? Oh, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. So what does y equal? Don't you divide both sides by 2? 45, right? Okay, so now let's go back to that one. Okay, now what do you think? I think I hear you saying it. Are you plugging in the y right here? Okay, so 3 times 45, because that's what y is, plus 20. What else do I need? Not yet. Do I know what 3 is? Plus 3, but instead of 3, I'm going to put
23 plus 20.
No, I don't know. I don't know it, so I'm going to put it. I heard someone say put in an x. Okay, this is plus an unknown. Agreed? We know this. 3 times 45 plus 20 plus an unknown gives you how much? Okay, does that make sense? But in math, I don't put question marks. I put a variable, right? Let's use a different variable. Let's just use P. Sure. Okay, does that make sense now? Okay, so now let's go through and figure out what our missing number is. What's 3 times 45? 135. Okay, 135. Let's go ahead and add the 20. So 155 plus P equals 180. And then subtract 155. Good. Now you're getting there. So P equals 25.
That was so complicated.
It was so
Is this
complicated.
gonna be on the test?
Yeah.
Oh no.
That is not complicated. That's everything I've taught you guys how to do. I've taught you how to do every bit of this.
It's so complicated.
It is. Yeah. You guys can do it.
Why do we need this?
Well, because when you take your geometry course, when you get to the high school, you have to have all of this so you can get through your geometry class.
Why do we need to use this in our lives? Right. Why do we need this in our